Hi, I'm Genna Hitchin. I'm the head of school at Palacefields Primary School. We've been involved in the Cradle to Career project since it started for support with reading intervention, SEMH intervention for children, writing intervention, early years, and also shine therapy. So in particular, our reading scores, we're now looking at 93% at the expected standard at the end of year 6 and 80 plus for year 5. So there's been a huge impact in terms of reading ability as well for our children who usually struggle with in that area. Alongside that, we've seen a real change in the social, emotional, mental health of our children in terms of being able to regulate. Down in the early years, we've received support there to look at each of our provision areas, how that's mapped across based on the curriculum as well and the assessment for those children as well. So it started with an audit of our provision first of all, to see where to start from there, and they've kind of mainly focused around the construction areas. They've then looked into our curriculum and how we can work together as all of the schools to planning those speech and language opportunities, rich vocabulary throughout and staff interactions. So they have completed the first of their twilight training sessions. We've got a second coming up, and then there'll be another audit following that to look at the impact from there as well. So one of the main changes we made was implementing Fresh Start reading intervention. So we follow the Read Write Ink phonics programme anyway, and that continues on from there. So the project's allowed us to go on to the formal training, buy in all the resources, and then we've seen the impact on our reading data from there. Alongside that, we've been able to work with Rise Education for 2 years now, who come in and support any struggling learners. They look at around 9 children per year and provide support and training for staff. They've also trained on trauma-informed practice. And alongside that, it's enabled us to work very closely with Early Excellence, Shine Therapy and Sean Bailey Wellness as well. So Shine Therapy is one of our newer projects. So they'll be coming in to audit kind of our sensory provision for children. We've been very lucky to be able to put in a sensory room this year. So they'll be completing some staff training around those sensory circuits and what's really going to benefit each individual child as well from there. We utilise NFER assessments, but we also, through the project, have access to NGRT testing as well, which looks at children's reading ability. We also use the PASS assessments, which children grade themselves on their own views around school, their own social, emotional, mental health. So we've been able to utilise that data to track children together and also look at the impact of these interventions. Aside from that, we use a lot of qualitative assessment as well in terms of the sensory room use and how children are able to now regulate themselves. Yep, it's definitely improved their confidence. They're now able to speak out within lessons. They'll lead on group work, whereas before they would potentially have listened to everybody else speak rather than share their own views there and then. We've been able to spend a lot in terms of resources within the library, and those children are now coming through and they want to show you the next text that they're taking out, and they're very keen to come back and change them. So they've really developed a love of reading rather than it just being an intervention to academically get them better, and they've been a lot more passionate about that as well. In the next 18 months, I'd like to continue the trajectory that the children are on academically, of course, and pastorally. I'd really like to continue the work with Shine Therapy to really secure the sensory provision we can offer for our children, both within the classroom or accessing the sensory room individually. We'll continue to work with Early Excellence as well in terms of really developing that speech and language to give them the best flying start that they can. So Sean Bailey Wellness have been completing after school clubs for us, but they also offer a later night provision, more of like a wraparound care, and that's open to not only children at Palacefields but across the Halton area, which has built relationships with children that they probably wouldn't come across aside from that. So he runs those 2 evenings a week, and then also a holiday club as well. So we have quite a variety of children coming through to those. Within those sessions, it's not just sports related. They look at healthy eating, they look at good sleep routine, screen time. So it's more of a therapy programme rather than just one-off holiday clubs. We've also worked with Mako Create. They've come in and worked with year 5, 6 around antisocial behaviour in the community. And they've also looked at gender roles as well with our older children and completed workshops with them. So the children have been really positive about those, and we've seen a decline in any incidents regarding that because of the work that they've done, which has been great. In terms of Sean Bailey Wellness, we're seeing a lot more children come through for after school provision, and then also some children who I know wouldn't necessarily access a holiday club for children that they didn't know, whereas knowing that it's in a safe place and it's here, we've seen attendance in that increase. Parents have been very thankful that it's a provision that's put on, especially for working parents, but also ones who've got different things to do during the holidays as well. They know they're well looked after here. Yeah, so we started this academic year with Early Excellence, so it's still in the early infancy stages of it. They've come in and completed an audit with us around the early years provision, looked at the curriculum, how it maps across in the different areas within early years. So from there, there's been the first Twilight training session where all the staff from all of the primary schools have got together, and that's been focusing around the construction area, vocabulary there, and developing the curriculum. There'll be another Twilight session booked in, and then staff will have time to implement, and then they'll come back and review from there. So some of the barriers that we see coming through the early years is particularly around speech and language. So we work very closely with Halton in terms of the welcome assessments, and now Early Excellence providing how that can then look in the provision will have a real impact of what now to do with the data that we've gathered. So I think without the support from Cradle to Career, we wouldn't have been able to put in the academic interventions that we did. We wouldn't have the opportunity to offer a space for the holiday clubs, after school wraparound care. We just wouldn't be able to provide any of that input. So it's been a huge benefit to us and the community.